Hi Mindsetters, and welcome grade 11s for Maths Literacy grade 11. Yes, and today we've got Peter and he'll be taking us through finance. Peter?
We're going to take a short ad break. No, we're not. We've just started. I just said that to give my producer a fright, you see. Because sometimes I get a fright in life. One of the biggest...
I heard the gasp in my ear.
I'm hearing
Not
funny
yet.
swear words in my ear as well. But one of the frights I get in my life is after my wife's taken my credit card and I get my bank statement. It's the most horrific thing I could ever come across. And my heart always skips a beat when that kind of thing happens.
I'm lucky I don't have a wife then. Hey?
No, absolutely. The other day, my wife's purse was actually stolen. And inside was my credit card.
That's terrible.
It was an absolute nightmare. But I didn't report it.
Why not? That's ridiculous.
I didn't report because a thief is actually spending less than my wife did. So if you're the guy out there with my wife's purse and credit card, you just keep it, pal. You're doing me a whack of a favour. You really are. So thanks a million for that.
I hope your wife isn't watching.
No, I don't think she is. If she is, I'll start checking into her hotel now, shall I? If you haven't detected by now, the subject we're talking about today is this whole thing of finance. But I think we are definitely going to take a short little ad break.
Yeah, guys, we'll see you after the break. Don't leave.
No, don't you dare go away. And even if you're in grade 12, and this is for grade 11, you stay tuned. Because remember, your grade 12 exam covers both grade 11 and 12 work. We'll see you shortly.
Grade 11s, welcome back, and I know that you're so excited to hear from Peter because he's awesome and he's fun and he makes everyone laugh and he makes easy learning. So instead of boosting his ego even more, I'm going to go straight to him and telling you, please join us on our Facebook page and on our Twitter because I know that Peter wants to talk to you at Learn Extra, www.facebook.com/Learn Extra. So let's get chatting, guys. Peter, take it away.
Well, after that introduction, I've forgotten exactly what we were going to do. No, I haven't. We're doing finance. In fact, there are a number of things in finance which we are going to actually tackle this afternoon. And the best way to learn is actually to sit down and just do a few examples. So in between doing some examples, I'm also going to do a little bit of teaching, and hopefully certain concepts are going to come across. And hopefully today will be a good day of learning for you. All right. Now, what I've got to stress right from the beginning, and I said it just before our ad break as well, this is primarily for grade 11s. However, if you are currently in grade 12 and you are sitting in front of the TV, don't you dare go and change the channel. Don't you dare get up and go for a walk or go for something to drink. You sit exactly where you are. Why? Because grade 12 is a combination of grade 11 and grade 12. So if you're in grade 12, it's going to be good to go back to some of the basics. And of course, if you're in grade 11, well, this is just for you, okay? So let's have a look. So today what we're going to be looking at is expenses, income, profit, profit margin, cost price, and even the selling price. Now, expenses, we all know what expenses are, don't we? Every time we go off to a shop, we're going to spend some money. There are going to be certain expenses. At the end of the month, okay, when you get your salary, or you guys at home, when you get your pocket money, there's certain expenses that are going to come your way. Whether it be entertainment expenses, whether you ladies out there are going off to buy yet another pair of shoes. But there are expenses. And so basically expense is when we're getting money, but we're actually taking that money and we're paying it out. So my expenses are giving money away. My income is the money I'm getting in, right? And then my profit, to make a profit at the end of the month, or to have a positive bank balance, the whole idea here is to make sure your income is more than your monthly expense. Now, I'm going to say that again. I'm saying it again for two sets of people. One for you viewers out there, and the second one for my wife if she's watching. So the idea of a profit is to get more money in than the amount of money you're paying out. All right? And we tend to look at businesses when we're looking at profit. When we're looking at our own personal bank accounts, we don't really use the word profit, but we try and pretend we're having a positive bank balance. or some money we've got left over at the end of the month, which we can save. Profit margin, oh my giddy aunt, I think the best way to describe that is with an example just now. Cost price and selling price, and we'll look at those just later on when we're looking at businesses. Okay? So when I go twaddling off to the shop and I decide to buy something, whatever it may be, let's say I decide to go off to, am I allowed to mention the shop on air? I'm not sure.
I actually have no idea. Producer, are we allowed to mention shops on air?
Well, let's do it anyway. We'll make up a shop. We go
Yeah, make
off,
up a shop. That's great. Peter's Pizzeria.
we go to Pete's shop.
Pete's shop.
And then they're selling cold drink called, now I've got to be careful, I can't even mention cold drinks here.
Pete's cold drink.
Pete's cold drink. So we go off to Pete's shop to buy Pete's cold drink. Okay. Now the amount of money that I'm actually paying out for that cold drink is quite a different amount to what the shop paid for it when they bought it. So obviously the shop have a cost price, and then they're selling it to me at a selling price. And their idea is to make a profit in their business. So they're going to go off to some manufacturer, buy this Pete's cool drink for 10 Rand. Pete's going to go into Pete's shop, go to buy the cold drink, and he's actually paying 15 Rand for it and thinks he's getting it at a bargain. Meantime, Pete's shop's just made a bit of a profit. So we're going to be looking at cost prices. We're going to be looking at example where there's a bit of selling price. So let's move on. Let's try and move on. Okay. Here we go. So in a business, there's always income and there are expenses. Now there are two types of income that I could actually land up with. An income called a fixed income and an income called a variable income. Now a fixed income is an amount of money I know I'm getting in every single month. For example, my salary. I know every month I'm getting 1,000 Rand. Right? Go to the bank at the end of the month and there it is, 1,000 Rand. The next month I go to the bank and there it is, 1,000 Rand. The following month, there it is, 1,000 Rand. It's not going to chop and change. My variable income is the income I may get, but it's not a consistent amount. So let's say, for example, on the odd occasion I come here into the studios and I do a little bit of work, right? And my producer says, man, that was a fantastic job, here's 10 Rand for you. And so now I've got my 1,000 Rand coming in every month, but now this month I'm lucky I'm getting an extra 10 Rand. Why? Because here I am on TV and my producer's paying me an extra bit of money. So I've now got 10 Rand. Next month I'm going to do 2 shows. So I'm now getting 20 Rand in. Okay? So it's not the same every month. So variable income, it changes all the time. A fixed income stays constant. In the same way, if we look here, we can see we get expenses. And expenses are also divided into 2 categories. We also get our fixed expenses and our variable expenses. So, for example, every single month, I know I've got to pay off my car. I know every single month I've got to take 1,500 Rand, I was trying to think of what my car cost me. I've got to take 1,500 Rand every month and give it over to the car dealership or the bank that I borrowed the money from. So every month, the same amount, 1,500. Next month, 1,500. Next month, 1,500. So it's 1,500, 1,500, 1,500. Every month the same. The same with my rent. Every month I know I've got to pay 3,000 Rand rent a month. Can you imagine, Indiana, if you suddenly woke up one morning and your landlord said, you know, I was thinking, I think we should charge you 5,000 Rand rent for the flat this month, just because I want to. Well, that's going to cause major, major chaos in your life.
Huge,
okay?
yeah.
And the following month they come to you and say, you know, we've kind of changed our mind. This month you can only pay 200 Rand a month. Well, that's a good month. Okay? But there's a lot of inconsistency with these expenses. So a fixed expense is something I'm guaranteed of having to pay every month. Before the month begins, that's what I'm paying out. Okay? Variable expense are expenses that I can't say are going to be exactly the same every month. So for example, every month we go grocery shopping. And from this size of me, I get very uncomfortable not having a desk to hide behind because it used to cover my stomach.
You look
but now,
fabulous,
here I am,
Peter.
okay? So you can see that every month we go shopping, and I take my grocery shopping very seriously. There has to be loads of chips and chocolates and all kinds of good things for you, okay? But every month my grocery shopping bill is slightly different, and there are two reasons for that. The first reason is, well, I don't buy the same things every single month. One month I might buy 7 bars of chocolate. The next month, cut down and only buy 6. The second reason is sometimes prices are always changing. So one month we go to Pete's shop and we go in and we buy our Pete's cold drink, and there it is, 15 Rand a bottle. The next month it's 15 Rand 99. Suddenly the prices have changed. So I know I'm going to spend money on groceries, but it's a variable expense. In other words, I can't say at the beginning of the month, I'm going to spend 1,243 Rand and 35 cents on groceries. The same with my telephone bill, okay? I know I'm going to pay that bill, but I don't know how much I'm actually going to pay. I know my wife's going to talk to her mother, so I know it's going to be a lot of money, but exactly how much, I'm not kind of sure about that either. So they're variable and fixed expenses. Do you understand the concept? Straightforward, isn't it? Fixed, I'm aware of those expenses or even aware of that income. Variable, I know I'm going to get some income, but I'm not sure how much. I know I'm going to have expenses, but I'm not sure how much. Are we all right on that? And then I thought we'd just include this little joke, which I thought was kind of nice. Just remember, don't claim for lunch unless I was with you. Okay, right, let's move on. Our next one. Now, the best way to learn, folk, is by doing examples. So that's exactly what I'm going to do now. We're going to take an example, we're going to work our way through it, and hopefully it's going to reinforce just a little bit of what I'm supposed to teach you today. Okay, so Jordan has a pizza shop. Consider the table below. So here we can see that he pays rent of 4,500. He has vehicle payments of 3,100. Petrol, 4,200. And I'm not going to read it all, but you can actually see that Jordan has quite a lot of little expenses going on in his little pizza shop. He's also got some money coming in. Okay, so he's got 42,365 Rand and 50 cents coming in from sales. Well, that's not bad. That means, Jordan, your pizza shop is actually quite popular, and that's quite good to hear. Now, let's look at some of the questions. How much does water cost every month? Okay, I'm going to interrupt myself, because if I don't, my wife will, or Indiana will, so let me do it.
Quickly.
The first kind of question that we normally give you, remember when in an exam you get different levels of questions. You get a level 1 question, which is just a basic kind of question, and what we're doing is we're just saying, hey, does this guy know what the table looks like? Does he know where to find figures? Does he know what this means or that means? Okay? Then we get a level 2 question, which we're now saying, well, can he take that number and do something with it? Can he look at the table and do something with that part of the table? A level 3 type question, we're really getting involved now. We're now saying, well, can you do multiple step type calculations looking at these figures or looking at these facts? And a level 4 type question, you've got to actually be able to take information and analyze it. So the question I've got up behind me now has got a variable number of levels. So we're going to start off with basic stuff, but remember the idea of that is just to make sure that you know, or that I know that you know, or got the general gist of the whole story. So, question 1. How much does water cost every month? Well, guys, that's kind of basic, isn't it? Because all we're going to do is we're going to say, right, here's my water, and my water cost me 421 Rand and 78 cents. There's nothing difficult about that, okay? And I didn't expect anything difficult either because it was only worth 1 mark. Let me interrupt myself again. Remember, there's no such thing as a question without the mark allocation. Got that? Okay? Because the mark allocation is giving me an idea on how much information I need to put down in my answer, or how long my answer should be. So if we look at this question and we see that it's only worth 1 mark, I'm fully aware it's a straightforward question. Nothing difficult, nothing hard. Let's move on. My next question. Same bit of information, question 2. What cost the company 4,234 Rand and 15 cents during this month? Now, do you remember they said, well, what is the water? And we had a look here. Now they're asking us to look at this side of the table and then find the answer that side. Okay? Do you see how the examiner's playing around with us, or how the teacher's playing around with us, making sure we understand the entire board? So what cost 4,234 Rand 50? And it looks like Indiana's doing absolutely nothing today, so she can answer.
It is petrol. I am paying attention, Peter.
And it's petrol, absolutely. So we can see then that my petrol cost 4,234 Rand. Let's move on. Next question. Next question, we have absolutely nothing. So we'll just keep going again. Here we go. Right. If 3 people are employed, determine their salary if each earns the same amount. Okay, now this is not so straightforward. It's not hard, it's not difficult, but it's not that easy. We're going to have to give a little bit of thought. Not much, but just a little bit. So let's have a look at it. So my salary is now, we're paying out 9,600 Rand. That 9,600 Rand has to be divided amongst 3 people. And we're told that they all earn exactly the same. So if they earn the same, I've got 9,600, I'm giving a third to one person, a third to another person, and a third to the third person. So all we've got to do then is say 9,600 and we're going to divide it by 3. So what we're going to do is we're going to try and find a calculator, and it doesn't look like we're going to find this calculator. Yes, we found the calculator. So we're going to say now 9,600 Rand. We're going to divide it by 3, and we're going to get an answer then of 3,200 Rand. So every single person is going to land up with 3,200 Rand. So let's find our green pen, and we're going to say the answer is straightforward. It's 3,200 Rand per person. Nothing hard, nothing difficult, but take note, the answer wasn't right on the question. We had to look at it and just do a little bit of work with it. Right, let's move on. Next one. Same sort of thing. Which of the fixed expenses cost the most every month? Now, to know which of the fixed expenses cost the most, the first thing we're going to have to do is try and determine which are those fixed expenses. So let's do that. Okay. Now, rent. Rent, I would say, is definitely a fixed expense. Remember we spoke about that earlier, Indiana, where we said that you want to know what your rent is, and you're going to pay the same for a full 12 months. So that is definitely a fixed expense. Vehicle payments, 3,100 fixed expense. I know every month what car do you have?
I have a Chevy Aveo.
Okay. I know every month that my Lamborghini is going to cost me 3,100. Petrol is not fixed. Okay? That's going to change all the time.
Drastically.
Drastically. Especially nowadays, isn't it? Because petrol is just going higher and higher and higher and higher and higher.
Just went up 35 cents. Hey?
It went up 35 cents. You say diesel apparently came down 2 cents.
So maybe we should have a diesel car instead.
So I think that's what we should be doing. We should be using diesel. Right, let's move on. Petrol, no. Ingredients, no. Hey, remember we spoke about my grocery shopping. And I said sometimes when I go grocery shopping, I'll spend more in one month than I do in another month. Right? So here is Jordan buying ingredients for his pizza shop. One day flour might cost so much a kilogram, the next day it'll cost a whack more a kilogram. Got that? So ingredients is definitely not fixed. Electricity, definitely not fixed. Changing all the time. Tax rebate, well, that's money returned to the business. So the tax man's saying, hey, we gave you too much, we took away too much money from you last year, here's a little bit back. Okay, great guys. Never underestimate these tax people. They're wonderful. So for Jordan's business now, he's now got some money back. So it's not even an expense. So we're not even going to look at that. Water is an expense, but it's not a fixed expense. It's going to change every month. Salaries. We're paying out salaries. That is an expense. And you know what? That is a fixed expense. We can't suddenly one day say to our employer, you know what? Yeah, I think this month, you know what? Let's pay you 50 Rand, okay? And then the next month they say, you know what, you were kind of good. I think we'll pay you 3,200, okay? Can't do that. The people that work for you want to know how much they're earning. So it's a fixed expense. Now, sales, well, that's the money that we're getting in from selling all our pizzas. So that's not an expense, so we can't even look at that. Now that we've sorted out which are our expenses, the next thing we've got to do then is answer the question that says, which of the fixed expenses cost the most? Well, now it's easy. We're just going to look at these figures. We've got 4,500, 3,100, 9,600 folk. This is the fixed expense that cost me the most. Which is it? It's the salaries of 9,600 Rand. Okay? Let's go on. Next one. Same sort of scenario. List the variable expenses. Well, we've already discussed that, haven't we? So we can just tick them off. My petrol is a variable expense. My ingredients are a variable expense. My electricity is a variable expense. My water is a variable expense. Okay? So those four are variable expenses. We've discussed it in detail. Let's move on. Next one.
Wait, Peter.
Wait, what's the problem?
Hold.
Okay, we have a question.
Okay, it's not a problem. And I was hoping that Boita Mello, she said to me, she didn't understand Peter on 2.2 and 2.4. I'm still waiting for her to write in and tell me exactly where she got lost. So Boita Mello, please write in and please let us know where exactly you lost. Mindset is if there's anything that you don't understand, just write in and kind of give us a little bit of information, like, I didn't understand what he was talking about this and this. It makes it easier for us to explain, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Otherwise, we've got to go through that entire question
section
again. And that can take quite a bit of time. So if there's something I've said which you don't understand, don't feel bad, That happens a lot. My wife always tells me I don't know what you're talking about. So if there's something I've said that you don't quite understand, tell you what, just... What do they do? BBMing you or Facebooking you or something?
You see how it goes. All they have to do is they need to post on our Facebook page, facebook.com/LearnExtra, and that's XTRA. Also follow us at Twitter @LearnExtra. See my words today. So guys, just let us know if there's anything, and I will. I'm here chatting to you. It's very quiet. I wonder where all the grade 11s are. So grade 11s, please let us know if you're watching. Chat to me. Tell me if you're watching.
Yeah. All you grade 11s out there, if you're living in Johannesburg, I know you're not out on the sports field because there's just been a whack of a storm. So I'm sure you've all been sent home. So you should be out there somewhere. All right. Next question. List the variable income. Remember we said there were two types of income. So my first one was my tax rebate and the second one was my sales. Now, folks, the tax rebate is a variable income, because it's not an income I'm getting every single month. In fact, that was a huge surprise, a lovely surprise. My sales is a variable. I'm not going to make 42,365 Rand and 50 cents every single month. Why? Because one month, someone might not want pizza, and that's already one pizza down. Okay? Another month, it might be holiday season. And so suddenly now mom says, you know what, it's holiday, wow, let's just have pizzas, okay? And so pizza sales now begin to escalate over December month, right? January, no one eats pizzas because they spend all their money on Christmas gifts. So it all depends what the month is and the circumstances behind that month and the circumstances behind the people who buy pizzas. So it's going to vary all the time. Now, moving on. List the fixed income, right? The money coming in that's fixed every month. Now that's a horrible, 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 tricky question. And the reason why it's horrible is because there is no fixed income here. This business is not guaranteed a fixed amount every month. The only income that they're getting is a tax rebate, which we said is not fixed, and my sales, which we just said is not fixed. So a horrible, horrible teacher here gave this question, said, list the fixed income, knowing full well there was no income. Shame on you, teacher. You should never, ever, ever do that to your students. And I apologize to my students right now. Okay, so let's move on. I'm pushing all kinds of buttons that I shouldn't be pushing.
Oh no, Peter, I can't take you anywhere, really. No, customized toolbar.
Okay, we've got things going on here.
You know what we're going to do?
I think we should take an ad break at this moment, get the
totally
technicians in to help me out here.
Fantastic. Would you like a cup of tea while we add it, Peter?
No, a glass of water is great. But you go out and you have a cup of tea. We got technicians waiting outside ready to run in and solve our problems and make my life a lot easier. and I'll just carry on drinking water and trying to de-stress through the
Okay.
whole entire program.
Take them to the break, because he obviously thinks he's the presenter. Obviously, Peter, you talk too much. Okay, guys, please come back. We've got a great show ahead. I think we've got about another 40 minutes left. So, half an hour. Thanks, producer. We'll see you after the break. Welcome back, guys, and hope you're enjoying the show as much as we are. I know that I'm having such fun, especially with Peter. Always makes me laugh. I know Boitamelo says that she loves you and that you're very funny. Hey? So, but now, he's funny, but can he teach us finance? Let's have a look.
Well, if I haven't taught you anything yet, then we've got a problem. Okay, so far we've been looking at Jordan's Pizza Shop, and we came up with a whole lot of interesting things. Like, we realized there was income, there was expenses. We said there were fixed expenses and variable expenses, fixed income and variable income. And now what we're going to look at is the epitome of a business. In other words, why do we have a business? Why do people open businesses? And it's to make money. In other words, to make a profit. Now, how do we make a profit, and what is a profit? Well, if we look here, we can see that profit is equal to my income minus my expense. And I think that speaks for itself, okay? Now, let's see how we're going to use this. So, if we move on, we've got an example here, and we're still talking about Jordan, right? So Jordan has a pizza shop. Consider the table below, and here's everything to do with Jordan's shop. And you've seen this table just before the ad break, so it's nothing new at all. The question is, what is the total of all the expenses? So let's find our calculator, and let's try and do this. Okay, so all we're trying to do is get the calculator, and there it is. So what we're going to do, add the expenses. My first expense is my rent of 4,500 Rand. Okay? To that, we are going to add my vehicle payments of 3,100. To that, we're going to add the petrol expenses of 4,234 Rand and 50 cents. To that, we're going to add the ingredients of my pizzas, 6,542 Rand and 29 cents. To that, we're going to add the electricity bill of 2,018 Rand and 56 cents. To that, we're going to add, not my tax rebate, because that's money coming in, my water bill of 421 Rand and 78 cents. And finally, our salaries of 9,600 Rand. And that gives me an expense of 30,417 Rand and 13 cents. So let's write this down here now. So we've got an expense then of 30,000. We're going to try and write it here. Let's just get some more page. 30,417 Rand and 13 cents. Okay, that is my expenses. Sorry about that. My hand seems to be doing more writing than the pen. Okay, next question. Let's move on.
Peter.
Yeah.
Before you move on, I do have a question.
Right.
Okay, you ready for it? All right, hold on. Loazi says that's fantastic. You guys are doing a great job. Now, hold on, give me 2 seconds. Lebza has a question. She wants to know, please help me here. What if a person was to quit or resign? Will salary still be a fixed expense?
You know what? They would be a fixed expense because we're still aware that that's the amount we're paying out every month. And I'd like to believe that if someone quits or resigns, we're going to get somebody else in the place. Yes. So I still know I'm going to be paying that amount of money at the end of the month. And I've got to budget accordingly. Yeah. So yeah, absolutely. So I hope she's not thinking of quitting or resigning her job, eh?
No.
But
I hope she's studying more. Hey, maybe she's a small job, like a small little job on the side.
Okay, but if I was employing her, I would still budget for that amount of money. Because even if she goes off to the great beyond, we are still got to budget that amount of money to pay her.
Good job,
All
Peter.
right, cool.
He's
Let's
getting
move on.
there.
Now, what is the total of all the income? So, here we go. My income, and we're going to do it straight on our calculator. Hopefully, we're going to do it on our calculator. Yes, we are. So, my income, remember we got this fantastic little gift from the tax man, a tax rebate of 8,986 Rand and 45 cents. To that, we're going to add the sales that came in of 42,365 Rand and 50 cents. My total income now is going to be 51,351 Rand. So that's exactly what we're going to try and write down here now. We're going to say it's, and I'm going to get down here to do this, we got 51,351 Rand and 95 cents. Straightforward, hey? Nothing hard about this at all, guys. It's straightforward. Just had to decide which was our income and add it up. Now, I know what the next question is. Let's have a look. And by now, you should know as well. So, moving on then, our very next question says, what profit did the business make this month? Now, how do we calculate profit? Remember, my profit is the income minus my expense. So with trepidation now, let's try and write this down. Profit equals income minus the expense. Okay? Now I know, because just during the ad break I said to Indiana, listen, my memory's not good, so when I come up with figures, you just remember them and let me know. And that's exactly what she's going to do. So I'm now going to say to her straight away, what was my income? And she's going to tell me it was?
I wasn't paying attention, Peter. You're supposed to say to me, tell me what the income is, and then I'll put it down. Okay, I'm listening now.
Okay, so we're going to try and find our expenses was 30,000.
Yes.
417 Rand.
Yeah.
And 13 cents.
Yes.
My income was, I think we've got to go one back. Here we go. 51,000.
Yeah.
351 Rand.
351
Rand and 95 cents.
And 95 cents.
Okay, now.
I'll never do it again, Peter, I promise.
Now we go on to the next part. So, my profit, income minus expense. So all we're going to do, I'm not going to write it on the board, I'm just going to punch it straight into my calculator. My income was 51,351 Rand and 95 cents, minus those expenses, which was?
30,000.
30,417 Rand.
And 13 cents.
And 13 cents. And there it is on the calculator. I'm making a profit now of 20,934 Rand and 82 cents. Okay? That's quite a nice profit, eh? That's a good bit of pocket money to take home at the end of the month. Right? So, my profit, my income minus those expenses. Let's move on. My next question. Now we come across this whole term called profit margin. Okay, and I'm going to ask Indiana to keep those figures.
I've got them. We're
going to be needing them now. Okay.
Peter.
My profit margin. So we worked out that I have a profit of 20,000 and something Rand. Okay. My profit margin is what percentage profit did I make? Do you see the difference? So profit is a monetary term, and profit margin is my profit as a percentage. So what percentage did I make out of the whole deal? Okay, so my profit margin is my income minus my expenses over my expenses times 100. Now guys, here's a good thing. When you write your exam at the end of the year, if we ask you for that profit margin, we would give you that formula. Hopefully we would. In fact, as an examiner, we should give it to you. So hopefully at the end of the year, if you're in grade 11 and even in grade 12, I know we're talking about grade 11, but you could well see this in your grade 12 exam. If we ask you calculate the profit margin, folk, then we will give you that equation. Now, one thing I want to point out to you very quickly. If we look at this part over here, this thing that says income minus expenses. Now, income minus expenses is exactly the same as saying the profit. So, in other words, profit margin is either income minus expenses, or we could say it's the profit over expenses times 100. So, let us now look at our question. And our question, I bet, is going to ask us then to calculate the profit. Okay. Now, I'm one up here on Indiana. I actually, when preparing this, wrote down the income and the expenses because I wasn't quite sure if we could rely on it. So, let's have a look at this.
I think it was probably a very smart choice, Peter. Okay. I think so.
Now, my profit margin, so the percentage of profit that I'm going to make is going to be my income minus my expense. So in other words, it's the profit over the expense. So it's going to be this 20,934 Rand and 82 cents over my expenses of 30,417 Rand 13 cents. So I'm going to say that divided by 30,417 Rand and 13 cents times 100. Remember, it was times 100. Unfortunately, I've run out of screen on my right. So that gives me an answer. We multiply by 100, get an answer, and there's my answer. A 68, let's find a pen here, shall we? A 68,83% profit. Okay. That's quite a profit, hey? I think that is absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay.
Fantastic.
And I just heard my producer whisper in my ear that we've got to have a break. Did she tell you?
No, she didn't tell me.
No, she's not talking to you. Not many people do.
Maybe she's angry. Why are you angry with me, producer? Really?
All right. Well, on that note, we're going to take a break. But I'm not allowed to tell you. Indiana apparently has got to do it because I'm not the presenter.
I think
so it's
they're
up
actually
to
even
her.
looking at me and listening to you. Yeah, I can always see. That's how I know, because the camera light's on, but then I can see you talking over there. So I'm like, Peter, it's me. Okay, guys, thanks so much for tuning in. We're having such fun. Don't go anywhere. We're just going to an ad break. Sar says, I'm enjoying this lesson so much. And carry on, Peter. Lebza says that she doesn't do maths. She only does maths light, but she's checking in on us anyway. So, guys, that's fantastic. Even if you're not doing maths literacy, carry on. Watch us anyway. I'm learning stuff. I'm learning about finance. I think when I get home, I can do my books a lot better now. Thanks, Peter. Yeah, so stay tuned and stick firmly to your seats, and we'll see you now. Hi, grade 11s, and welcome back. We're having such a great time today with Peter. We're chatting about maths literacy. Peter, everyone's loving you, and you're doing great, so carry on. I think the best thing.
All right. Just before the break, we said that one of the best ways to learn is just by doing an example after example. And we have another example here. So before we were looking at Jordan's pizza shop, now we're going to look at Colin's consultancy business. Okay. And I have a kid in my class called Colin, and I also have a boy called Jordan. So yeah, Jordan, Colin, if you're watching, I'm talking about you. So let's have a look at this. Colin wants to start a consultancy business, and he wishes to work out what would be an appropriate hourly rate to charge. He has worked out that his fixed costs are 30,000 Rand a year. The variable costs per hour are 15 Rand. He's thinking of charging his clients 40 Rand an hour. Okay, so let's just talk about this little problem here. So here we have Colin, and he wants to start a consultancy business. Okay. But he's not sure how much he should charge his clients. So before he works out how much he should charge his clients, he's going to now try and determine what his expenses are for his business that year. And the first thing he says is this, that every year I have a fixed expense of 30,000 Rand. Okay? Now, why would he have a fixed expense of 30,000 Rand? Well, maybe he's renting a building from which he's going to work. And that building is going to cost him, or the rent is going to cost him 30,000 Rand every year. Maybe the rent's going to be less, but he's going to get someone in the office to help him. And he's going to probably pay them 1,000 Rand a month just to do the odd little job or help out in the mornings or do something like that. Whatever the reason is, Colin has determined that he's got 30,000 Rand expense every single year rather. Okay. He's also worked out that he has a variable cost of 15 Rand per hour. Okay. So every client that comes into his business, it's going to cost him 15 Rand. Why is it going to cost him 15 Rand? Well, maybe because he offers every client a cup of tea. And the cup of tea is going to cost him something. Maybe he's writing notes while they're talking, or he's doing some PowerPoint presentation, or he's got stationery, or I don't know, it could be a whole lot of reasons. But for some reason, he says, for every client that walks through my door, it's going to cost me an additional 15 Rand. Okay? So, 30,000 every year, plus 15 Rand every hour. Now, he's now thinking of charging his clients 40 Rand an hour. So his income is 40 Rand an hour, but his expenses, 30,000 plus the 15 Rand. Now, question 1. What are his yearly expenses? So, his yearly expenses, we can say are, first of all, he's paying 30,000 Rand, okay, plus 15 Rand per hour. So it's plus 15 times H. Those are his expenses. Well, what's his income? Well, let's have a look at that. His income now is going to be what? Well, that's quite simple. His income is merely 40 Rand per hour. So we can say it's 40 times H. So we have expense and we have his income. Okay? Happy? And what we've done is we've actually formulated a formula. Now, I hate using the word formula in mathematical literacy. You will notice my formula doesn't say y equals 40 times x. Remember, we don't deal with y's, we don't deal with x's. We threw that out the window when we stepped outside the maths class and entered into the mathematical literacy class. We deal with real life things. So R standing for income, H standing for the number of hours. My next question then says this. What does it mean when a business breaks even? Oh, basically, just to summarize it, it's when my income and my expenses are exactly the same. Because once my income and my expenses are the same, I don't owe anybody any money. And nobody owes me money. So break even means I've got a balance of absolutely zero. Okay? I've got no money in my account, but I don't owe anyone money either. Alright. So next, let's go on. We now say, how many hours must be worked in a year in order to break even? Now, how are we going to break even? We are going to break even when my income is equal, let's try writing here, income equals my expense. Okay? Now remember we said my yearly income is 40 times H, or 40 Rand an hour. My expense is 30,000 plus 15H. And I'm running out of space on my board. Okay? What I'm going to do is I'm going to say, right, 40, we're taking the 15H that side. I'm going to land up then with 25H equals 30,000. So H, what's the sign between the H and the 25? It is times. When it goes across, it becomes divide. So I'm going to say, okay, so what is 30,000? Let's try to find our calculator here. Let's try that again. 30,000 divided by 25 gives me 1,200 hours. So in other words, if I want to break even, Or if Colin wants to break even, he's got to work 1,200 hours. So there's so much more we can do here, hey? But I've got this producer in my ear telling me all kinds of things, and one of the things she's saying is wrap up, wrap up, wrap up, you've got to go. So let me wrap up and let me go. Just to conclude to say, break even, guys, is where my income and my expense is exactly the same. Indiana?
Fantastic. Did you enjoy it? Did you have fun?
I had fun.
Hey?
I had fun.
Did you guys have fun? Hey, mindsetters, let us know. Is there anything that you're struggling with? We may not be able to go through it now during the live session, but we use our page as a 48-hour help desk. So if there is anything that you are struggling with, please post it onto our wall and just give us about 48 hours. We do have a dedicated team behind the page that makes sure that we get to your questions and answer them. All we ask is that you just show us where you've gotten lost and what you don't understand so we can help you properly. So what I'm going to say is goodbye to the grade 11s, and thank you so much for tuning in, and make sure that if you're in grade 12 that you tune in next. Bye guys.